Thank you. Good to be here. I love this area. I've been coming to this area for a long time, since I was a kid. My dad, my brother, and I both spent our senior prom somewhere across the street, but I won't get into those details. But I do think this is a beautiful space to be at, and I'm excited to share some poems with you. So I'm going to start with I'm going to read this new book, this Elvis Lives book, in a bit. But I wanted to start with some poems about Chicago. My second book of poems is called Everyday People, and it's poems really about the city. And one of the things I love, of course, is that this, New Buffalo, Union Pier, Lakeside is very close to Chicago. And one of my favorite days I ever spent was seeing the sunrise out of Lake Michigan on the Chicago side, and then in the same day driving around the lake to come here and see the sun set into Lake Michigan. So on the same day I saw the same sun come up out of the water and then fall back into the water on this side. And so knowing that I was going to be here, I'm going to start with this poem about my favorite time in the city called Sunrise. It is 6:13 a.m. On the phone, her voice a hushed arousal. From the bed looking east, the skylines a silhouette. Hancock erect. The sun birthing out of Lake Michigan's wet mouth blushes Chicago a rainbow. Brick-roofed zenith, the peeled skin of orange, honey like the roads promised, the shallow pockets chasing them. All the blues, melancholic to indigo, follow black, crowning the body of Lakeshore. Awake are the alleys, scribbled with troubled pictures. Awake are the newspaper trucks hauling dead trees. Awake are the waitresses flipping on pots of coffee. Awake are the migrants hoping in the cold. Awake are the mothers still waiting on their sons. Awake are the corner store clerks opening iron gates. Awake are the teachers lesson planning long commutes. Awake are the cabbies going home to raise their families. Awake are the factories breathing gray smoke. Awake are the stray dogs packed in Humboldt Park. Awake are the L trains thundering through the sky. Awake are the buses rumbling through the streets. Awake are the fallen, risen from lower Wacker. Awake are the fishermen, older than the water. Awake are all the children putting on their uniforms. Awake are all the workers who will greet the sun. Awake is the sky holding all this city. Awake is the sky holding all this city. Awake is the sky. Awake is the sky. Awake is the sky. The sky. The sky. Thanks. I grew up, I have a younger brother who's 3.5 years younger than me, and we grew up raised primarily by our mom, and we had many occasion to look at her and look at each other and confer whether or not she was actually crazy. I don't know if anyone has been raised by a single mom, but she worked her butt off to keep us fed and clothed. But she also, because she worked so hard and because she's, a little off, she would while out plenty of nights. And this is a true story about one of those evenings that my brother and I looked at one another and wondered. This is a poem called Chicken a la Tony the Tiger. We'd sit at the kitchen table for four in a triangle. Eric to her right, me on the left, Mom's back to the stove and countertop, eyes facing the wallpaper where she hung wicker fans or the mini TV Thursday nights when she let us watch The Cosby Show. If we complained of a barbecue repeat, no spoon or back of the hand, but silence as if she didn't hear. The night my father went bankrupt, he brought 2 huge bags to my mom's house. One clear sack filled with 70 pounds of frozen chicken breasts and a black garbage bag, the kind you collect fall in, stuffed with the seemingly endless supply of Frosted Flakes. The Frosted Flakes lived on top of our refrigerator. Every morning for over a year, we'd scoop a bowl out its limp body, slurp our inheritance before school, trying to drown out its plastic predictable sweetness in skim milk. Mom made a cookbook that year. Hundreds of ways to change chicken breasts. Diced and seasoned, creamy, cold, chopped, sauteed, broiled, minced, soaked, sliced potatoes, peas, corn on the side, cheese on top, shredded pasta, rice, couscous dipped in wine, butter, oil, honey, anything for a slight shift in flavor. But it was the night she rolled the chicken in Frosted Flakes. Centered them on the table like she was the sitcom straight man, that our laughter bust like stitches, tears flooding a broken damn. Thanks. So I'm gonna read a bunch of poems from this new book, but I was fortunate enough. I called a student of mine this morning and asked if he wanted to take a ride up with me. I've been working in Chicago public schools and community centers for the last 15, 16 years, teaching creative writing all throughout Chicago and doing workshops throughout the country. And 12 years ago, I started a festival called Louder Than a Bomb, the Chicago Youth Poetry Festival. It's grown to be the largest youth poetry festival on the planet, and I've seen hundreds of writers throughout these 12 years and have been lucky enough to become close with some of them. And so this young man who you're about to meet took a ride with me, and over the last couple of years has emerged as one of the best young writers in the city of Chicago. This past year, in the 11th year of our festival, he won both the individual portion of Louder Than a Bomb, and also his team won Louder Than a Bomb, and was able to represent Chicago at the National Youth Poetry Festival this summer in San Francisco. So Lakeside, please welcome one of the nicest doing it in Chicago right now, a young man. He just graduated high school, on his way to Harold Washington College. Please welcome Malcolm London.
How you guys doing? Yeah, so all of that. I don't know, first off I want to say thanks to Kevin Coval. He's been a real impact in my life, actually. I don't know if I would have graduated high school if it wasn't for him, and that's real, so appreciate everything. But first poem I'm gonna do is a poem I recently just wrote. It is entitled Apology to My Unborn Daughter. When you are first conceived, I won't remember the time it happened. Permanently trailed by my shady past, foreshadowing a parent. When told of your genesis, I will feel the breath of God heavy against my skin. Sunken in anxiety like a mother half asleep anticipating her son's arrival from city streets, keeping him wrapped up longer than she ever could. I apologize now. Before you develop into the spitting image of the woman that gives birth to you, before you are gobbled up by cutthroat boys whose Adam's apples are lumps at the neck of lust, I will swallow regret. Regurgitating an apology from the lining of my esophagus, realizing you are preordained to despise your origin or me. Your childhood, a glittering graphic galore of glamorous fairy tale endings. Lost teddy bears easily replaced, playing dress up in the finest fabric, scraped knees, bandaged with trips for ice cream. Barrettes tied to ponytails and cartoons. Distracting you from more than just the animation of a smile your mother will sketch on to stay drawn to mine, my princess. I will answer all math problems until the 7th grade. I'm already beginning to forget how to add fractions, but by then you would have become one. Your first boyfriend will be without any of my knowledge, yet I will know him before you do. He will cheat on tests, copy homework, steal lunchroom milks to quench his thirst, with good intentions carried in his cheek. Bad decisions disheveling his conscience, he will be your first. He will cheat, copy his father, steal kisses from other preteen girls in the lunchroom to quench his thirst. My mouth dry with mosaic responses, we're bombarded with lungs full of questions like, why are boys such jerks? Wanting to know why male adolescent respiratory systems function to inhale virginities and exhale excuses. Incapable of solving this innate algebraic problem, you will go on to switch out variables. At 15, you will love again. New lover, same smile, sophomore charm, same heartbreak that drives your mother to exhaustion with me. At 16, you will be licensed like her. Stay parked next to boys who curb your enthusiasm, ignoring their smile. At 17, one young gun shooting for the stars, attempting to impress you will. His smile, a cacophonous echo from crashing into your mother's arms. Her voice whispering the bark she's walked dogs before. I apologize now. Because I know false Prince Charmings will puzzle you, because I have been that jigsaw crowned with the same jewels, my princess. Never lose your fairy tale endings. Lost teddy bears easily replace them, but not just because you need someone to comfort you. I will be there dressing you up in the finest fabric, so when you remove your clothes, I know you will, and I don't want any of the details. It won't be for validation. Scrape knees from falling for smiles that aren't worth the wrinkle in your dimple. Bandage them with my open arms. Barrettes, leave them tied to ponytails and cartoons. Let nothing distract you, my princess. I apologize now. Because I know I will be far from the perfect man, but I promise. I pinky promise to be a great father. Sincerely yours, Malcolm Monday. So this next piece is a poem I think represents Chicago and Chicago public schools. As I said before, I don't think I would have graduated if it wasn't for Kevin or Louder Than a Bomb or poetry. And yeah, I'll let the poem speak for itself. The title of the poem is High School Training Grounds. At 7:45 a.m., I opened the doors to a building dedicated to building, yet only breaks me down. I march down hallways, cleaned up after me every day by regular janitors, but I never have the decency to honor their names. Lockers left open like teenage boys' mouths when teenage girls wear clothes that covers their insecurities but exposes everything else. Masculinity mimicked by men who grew up with no fathers. Classrooms overpacked like book bags. Teachers paid less than what it cost them to be here. Oceans of adolescents come here to receive lessons but never learn to swim. Part like the Red Sea when the bell rings. This is a training ground. My high school is Chicago. Diverse and segregated on purpose. Social lines are barbed wire. Hierarchy burned into our separated classrooms, free to sit anywhere but reduced to divided lunch tables. Labels like regulars and honors resonate. This is a training ground. Taught to capitalize letters at a young age. Taught now that capitalism raises you, but you have to step on someone else to get there. This is a training ground. A reoccurring cycle built to recycle the trash of this system. I am in honors classes, but go home with regular students who are soldiers in territory that owns them. When did lives become expendable? CPS is a training ground centered on personal success. CPS is a training ground, concentration on professional suits. CPS is a training ground. The educated aren't necessarily the educated. The need for degrees has left so many of my people frozen. See, the need for degrees has left so many of my people frozen. I have a 1.9 GPA. Got drunk before my ACT and still received a 25. Now tell me how I'm supposed to act. Homework is stressful. But when you go home, every day in your home is work. You don't want to pick up any assignments. Reading textbooks is stressful, but reading doesn't matter when you feel your story is already written, either dead or getting booked. Taking tests is stressful, but bubbling in a Scantron doesn't stop bullets from bursting. Our direction hasn't changed. When our board of education is driven by lawyers and businessmen, only one teacher sits on that board. Now tell me, what does that teach you? I hear the education systems are failing. But I believe they are succeeding in what they're built to do, to train you, to keep you on track, to track down an American dream that fails. So many of us are. Thank you.
Pretty good, right? Yeah, so Malcolm will be in Chicago this year. One of the things that we're doing through Louder Than a Bomb is that a lot of the young poets who rise through the program graduate and stay around Chicago, become our teaching artists who then go back into the schools to energize and inspire the next generation of writers. So all year long, he'll be going around the city, learning how to teach, and also performing throughout Chicago, trying to find the next generation of writers. So one more time for Malcolm. I'm really excited to be here for a ton of reasons. Very selfishly, this is the first reading that I will do with a book that is brand new. It's my third book of poems. It's called Elvis Lives, Race Music Poems. And this is like the 30 that I brought with me today are the first 30 that came up off the press. So it's the first time that I'm seeing the book, and I'm really excited about it. And it's the first time that I've had it in my hands and read some of it to an audience. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do that. The book itself is a contemporary biography of a rap Elvis character. I've taken liberally from the lives of Elvis Presley, Vanilla Ice, Eminem, the Beastie Boys, myself, and other white boys who think they're down, who use and misuse black cultural production in order to find a semblance of identity, and that identity, of course, being skewed through the terror of American history. And so I want to share with you some of those poems, and hopefully afterwards you'll be able to tell me what it is you think. But really excited to have the book, and I'll read a bunch of poems and turn it over to Vince. The book starts, of course, where Elvis is fascinated, and his first fascination starts in a familiar place. This is a poem called Jealous of the Black Boys, a love song. They always looked polished, high tight bald fades, creased pants, 'cause they mama made 'em iron